Right?
Hold on one second. All right, Christina Rahtgens, thank you very much for finding the time in your busy calendar to talk to us about sustainability.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. The reason why I'm so busy is that really everything is in motion concerning sustainability and sustainability work. And you can hardly keep up with the pace that everything's changing. And so we are a small consultancy in the north of Germany doing consulting work for German and European and international clients. And we got run over. We're looking for people to just manage the amount of work we're doing right now. And that's why I brought charts with me, which I haven't had a chance to really translate all in English. So I hope I'll just explain them to you. And if you have questions on the wording, please please don't hesitate to ask anything, and I'll try to translate them later and pass them out to you. So the three things that I want to get across today is everything is in motion. The one thing that I take away from my client meetings is that it starts by asking questions. We do that with our clients, but they do that internally too. And also that you have to have the big picture in mind, but it does start with little steps, and every little step counts. So that's what I really want to bring across. So now Google Meet.
So if you can go to the next slide, we're still seeing the cover slide.
Okay, I again don't see what I'm presenting at all because I switched to your screen. Now I'm trying to switch back to my own.
No worries. We see the cover slide. What do I need to do with my company, my team, myself?
Exactly. I know that you see that, but I don't. So.
And then we heard your excellent summary. Christina, for those of you who don't know her, has also presented in the past, I think 10, 15 years ago, quite a long time. Christina had a past when I got to know Christina with Roland Berger, large management consulting firm. And then has been with Silvester now for, how long have you been with Silvester?
I'm with Silvester now for over 3 years.
Okay.
Did I switch to the second slide now?
No, but you sent me the presentation via email. So if you don't mind, I will just show it on. Oh, now we see the second slide, 30 years of experience.
Okay, perfect.
So we're good to go. And as a backup, I have the slides too.
Okay. So exactly, I worked for Roland Berger for quite a while, especially in communication, having a slight touch with sustainability, but not very much. And then I switched to a publishing company for a couple of years, and then I switched to Silvester Group, which is a company that has 30 years of experience in stakeholder communication. So we help companies to talk with their stakeholders, which in the former years were basically their shareholders, and that has drastically changed. Now it's the stakeholders really, and we have loads of strategy projects on communication and financial management on C-level, and none of that is without sustainability at all anymore. So that's basically, it's everywhere. Our work has always been integrated, which is our biggest asset right now, because we don't do what many companies do, separated corporate social responsibility consulting. That's what many consultancies do, and what many companies also do, that they have a separate team for CSR somewhere in their company, non-connected with anything else. And that's something I always go back to the internal communications know-how that we've talked about a lot, Janus, in all those years that we know each other. It's always, if you have separate teams that don't talk to each other, that never works. So what we do in our agency and what we try to convey to our customers is also that it has to be integrated. It has to have everyone on board. So we do that from our side, and we help our clients to do the same. So I said that I would bring stuff on CSR about my company, my team, and myself. And I'll start with my company because that's what I do every day. That's the work that we do with all our clients right now. And please, I'm even, I can't see you now because I only have one screen because I'm at home with not such a great all surrounding equipment. If
No
please,
worries.
please do ask your questions whenever I'm too fast or you want to jump in and have a conversation on any of those points.
Sure.
What we do and what we learn and what we try to convey to our clients is that sustainability work is so great nowadays because it's not that ecological little bit of a company anymore. It's a comprehensive look at the company. We do a 360-degree screening of our clients together with them on the issues of strategy and governance, economy, ecology, and social issues and governance. So you really dig into all those subjects and turn every stone and look for all the issues and subjects the company is working with and looking into and having on their agenda. And that's, of course, a wealth of subjects. But what we are looking for is what is in English Materiality. In German, it's Wesentlichkeit. So you collect the issues, you put them on a big table, and then you narrow them down to the real material topics, the Wesentlichkeitsanalyse, the materiality analysis that really puts the things into perspective for bringing the company on the next level. Once you have those issues, yes?
So Christina, I took over the presentation. I'm sharing now the sustainability work is comprehensive. That's the right slide, right?
Right. So mine did change.
So if you keep talking, I'll just change the slides as we did in the old days, you know?
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, so for those topics, the material topics, we're looking for then goals and the steps to reach those goals. And we have a couple of reporting frameworks that help us to structure those topics. That's, and I'll go into those in a minute, that's the DNK in Germany, the Deutsche Nachhaltigkeitskodex, or the SDGs that you all know from the UN, or the GRI, which is the gold standard from the UK and the USA. But you also have factual rules that you have to follow in Hamburg. We're really, really happy that we have the HCGK, that's the Hamburg Corporate Governance Codex, which gives even stronger and more precise rules to all companies that belong to the state of Hamburg. And even if they would fall through to the grids for other frameworks or for even the rule of law, Hamburg still makes them look into their material topics and has them reporting on them. Because then, of course, once you document everything on those issues, then it's best to also communicate it, because then that gives the whole thing just a much stronger approach if you have communication once a year, externally as well as internally. Okay, next slide. All this takes a lot of effort and a lot of work on many parts within the company, but we found in all our projects that this has strong impact on both the internal as well as the external side. So it's always made sense to start into those projects. On the external side, it's the finance, the capital markets that really like if a company really gets going, gets on their way. And that's also where the most motion is right now, the finance markets. I'll get to that in a minute, what the EU is making companies do nowadays. But also in the product markets, we see that there is just a lot of motion, a lot of change going on, because each company just makes the other company start working on the issues. EcoVadis is a tool, is a how would you call it? It's a database basically, where companies can input their efforts they are doing on sustainability work. And so nowadays we have more than one client that cannot sell their products anymore if they don't have a good EcoVadis rating, or they are a big buyer company, they make their suppliers have good EcoVadis ratings to even still buy their products. So one company in the supply chain changes the rules, changes them for everyone in the whole market, which, you know, seems like a small step sometimes first, but then it has a ripple effect that's really impressive to watch. Same with labor markets, of course, recruiting. You've all talked about that a lot in the last couple of years, that people really want purposeful jobs, and having a good sustainability work on your side just has a major effect there. And internally, we've seen that more than once with our clients, that looking for materiality, looking for the real stuff, instead of doing everything at once or doing whatever the one wants that yells the loudest. Change that for materiality, change that for a strong materiality analysis, and work on the subject that really matter most. Just gives the whole strategy element, in many cases, a whole new perspective, and just pushes the whole company ahead. It's always impressive to see how that really works. Same with operations, of course, and also with the reputation management.
So I was thinking, Christina, perhaps we need to speed up a little bit, just so that we don't run out of time.
Exactly. So that's really the basis of our work. I wanted to show you, I mean, as I'm not seeing you, I can't see whether you're looking lost or whether you're all happy. But
so far, so
good. There are the reporting standards that we work on, is the GRI reporting initiative. That's we can go through those quickly. Well, I wanted to pause quickly on page 9, if you could, Janus.
Yes, that's coming here, the criteria. Yeah, the criteria.
Because other than the GRI, the criteria of the DNK make a nice picture of what is important in the sustainability work, that you really have to have the Wesentlichkeit, the materiality that I've talked about on your agenda, that you really have to look what is really material for you as well as for your stakeholders. You have to get your goals, your Ziele in place. You have to look through the whole depth of your supply chain. And you have to look at all rules, processes, and all your stakeholders. The Beteiligung von Anspruchsgruppen is then looking at the stakeholders. And that really makes the difference. If you work through that framework, you have your whole company turned upside down. And then, of course, along with the DNK, you report it. Same goes if you look at page 10, of course, for the SDGs. That's not as straightforward, but it follows the same lines. You really look into what does the UN want you to do along with the SDGs, and you do a thorough analysis. On page 13, you can see one of our clients having done a sustainability analysis along the SDGs. So you can see that that also works. You go into subject by subject and work your way through the material topics. If you go back to page 12, just real quick, you can see how we do that now in Corona times. We do that online. On the right, there is a digital workshop that we do on the concept board, where we have those, you see those green cards where we collect the topics. Then we have the C-level people of a company put them on those gray fields to see which ones are really material, then they score them. Then we have external stakeholders score those same topics, and then you reach that blue thing on the left. We can see in those areas that we looked at where those topics score, and those in the dark blue area are then the material topics that the company will really focus on.
All right.
So, and then we have page 14 that really shows you that all that I've been talking about seems straightforward enough, seems like framework, seems like everything's easy to follow. But then you look at it, and there's an NFDR reviewed in April 2021, the EU taxonomy regulation starting from January 21. All that to be applicable this year. So all our bank clients are really trying to hassle to understand what the EU taxonomy now brings them. What do they have to change in their reporting? What do they have to do to apply to those rules that came into life in March and have to be dealt with until the end of the year? So that's really speed that the EU is putting on this subject, speed that the companies have to comply to, because you just cannot not do it anymore, because the banks will not give you credit lines anymore. Credits have really changed price for those who apply those rules thoroughly already. Same with investors, of course, or if you want to give out bonds, they have to now adhere to the SFDR rules, which are new. Nobody really knows what they are like yet. Really, everyone's scrambling to understand, scrambling to follow through, and it does have a huge effect, and it's really nice to watch.
All right, then my team.
What we do is, of course, we go into the team. So I'm not going to tell you, I don't know enough about your work and your teams, but what we do, we go in with question list. Please go also. I'm not telling you which page. I switched to 16 shortly and then up to 17. So 16 is just, we all really have to move here. And what we do, what you see on page 17, is that we talk with the client's teams on all those issues: legal, sales, purchasing, quality team, controlling. And we go through those lists. And the most impressive part, and that's what I said in the very beginning, is that you start asking questions and they start within the hour that we have an interview with them, where we only, we start with, let us just see where you stand. Let us see what is the basis of our conversation. And even this 1 hour already changes the mindset of those teams, mostly because they just didn't have, the time and the energy to look into where are we exactly and what could we change. And as this sustainability work is really a 360-degree look at the company, it's interesting that most of the change, or most of the starting of the change, already starts in this 1 hour interview, where they just like, wow, I didn't know we could change that. I didn't know we could address that. I didn't know that was a question I could ask. And so even with this interview, we start the change. They start asking questions. We all put that in a first report, but the report is always the start of the journey, because then they set themselves goals and try to reach those goals in the years to come. And on page 18, I brought a little chart of what we do to help internally, and that's basically all we know from, same with the intranet revolutions that we had on all those years, Janos, that you really have to do really good internal communication to take everyone along. So we make nice, great projects on internal communications on sustainability. We had an advent calendar for one of our clients where we put all those questions that this company asked themselves in 24 little doors, and the people just loved it and felt like they were taken along on a great journey. Okay, and myself, well, if you Google sustainability and what to do with your life, you find lists from the top 10 things to the top 100 things to do to be a sustainable person. Of course, on page 20, you see you can all go to the Fridays for Future demonstrations as soon as they restart again. But I guess each of you knows best what to do or what to change in your life. So I'm not here, of course, to tell you. I'm just telling you, start asking questions and do the little steps. On page 21, I brought that joke that you probably all know about few people actually are doing it, even if everybody talks about it. But we always invite everyone to start really doing it, and not as on page 22, producing hot air, or what some companies do, sell themselves, buy some trees at the other end of the world and think that that's sustainability work. That, from what I think, is not sustainability work. It's really going, as we said in the very beginning, OKR work, like into the depth and find the material topics. And so on page 23, I did find a little overview list for what you could do, but I bet you all know what to do. And just take that along, start asking questions, and use the motion that we're all in right now. And you use it in your favor and in our environment's favor.
Thank you so much, Christina. You did it. I know it must have been a little stressful, like in the past, with the projector not working and you still talking. But I think we managed. Perhaps I can pass it over to you, Anne, who is working exactly with this at a football team. I know football team might be unusual to everybody else, but any feedback, reflections from what Christina just said?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I know there's lots to be done within this field, so I understand why you also were struggling to get everything said in such short amount of time. But I really like your notion about start talking about it, because I guess that's the first thing, because otherwise the rest of the organization also won't maybe notice that this is something that's happening. Because, and anyway, in our case, I work at a football club, and we've been working on this for a year now, and it's something very new for a football club in Denmark. I know in Germany more clubs have been working with sustainability for years, also in UK, but in Denmark it's quite new. So just to start talking about it is a small step. But I'd love to hear a little bit more, maybe not now, but about your efforts within the internal communication, because I agree it's definitely a question of a mindset change. Yeah. So thank you.
Very good. And we also had a question here on the chat from Bernd on this problem with most companies wanting annual growth. And but still that's not sustainable in a confined system. So how do you solve this conflict between everybody pretty much has the quest for growth to become a bigger organization? How do you do it in a more sustainable way, Christina? You must have faced that struggle.
Yes, that's exactly the point, of course. That's why it's the 360-degree view and the 4 areas that we look at. And most companies put the growth of sales or growth of profit in their material topics for what they want to achieve. And then they'll have to look what else they have to change to grow sustainably, definitely. But it is of course, I mean, each company, and the joke that almost all CEOs make in their first workshop is, the most sustainable way would be to shut down my company. But what also is sustainable is paying your people well and giving them a good job. And so we'll have to figure out how we get the sustainable topics and how we get them to not counter each other. So, of course, that's exactly the discussion. But we feel that it is sustainable to have a company that's growing and that is good with their employees and that is having a great impact, positive impact on their supply chain and their customers and all their stakeholders.
All right. Anybody else? Questions, comments here for the end? Lauren?
Yeah, I had a quick one, only because materiality came up kind of this year with me in banking and auditing. So when I was trying to look into what is materiality, it's kind of got into this big, like it encompasses a lot. So do you have some examples of materiality of when you speak of it, or is it like physical, digital ideas? Like, it's a little more about that.
Well, I think that word is really confusing, and I would pose that question to somebody who's really an English-speaking native. For me, the word Wesentlichkeit in German makes a lot more sense. And I feel in Germany they all use materiality, or they say Materialitätsmatrix, which makes even less sense, I think. But it sounds very fancy, so they all use it. But what really, I think what everybody means is just Wesentlichkeit. And Wesentlichkeit is the same as OKR. It's, go down to what's really important and, don't use your daily work as material. The daily work has to be done anyway. But what do you want? Pick the 8 to 12 topics that are material, that are important for you to reach a new level of sustainability in your company. And for a bank, that's probably getting a grip of the SFDR and the EU taxonomy. That must be a material topic in 2021.
All right. Let's jump to the US. Chris Justice, I see you there. Quick, how did this resonate with you and the reality that you're in?
Very good. I mean, sustainability questions that we have are pretty minimal because of what we do. Everything that we're kind of focused on is pure virtual. We've removed all printing from the business, gone pure electronic, and we are now collapsing offices. I don't know if that actually resonates with any of you, but sustainability for us is, minimizing our impact, because we are a very distributed business, about 100 employees in 19 different countries. So sustainability for us in the United States is not really regulated, and it's really only achieved by very, very large organizations. But as small businesses, we're just doing very targeted things.
Thank you, Chris. All right, Christina, in closing, I think what you said in the opening was these 3 key points. Can you repeat them?
Yeah, I feel that everything is in motion, and you use that motion to get your company and yourself moving. Start by asking questions, yourself, your team, your company, your leaders. Look for the sustainability team and see if they're somewhere isolated and nobody's talking to them. And I feel that really every little step counts. It's a start of a journey. We often start with the report. They think they do a report, and in reality, it's not a report. They start on a journey.
Excellent. We made it right on time. 26 slides, a little bit of technical difficulties. Thank you, Christina, for finding the time in your busy calendar. I really appreciate it. Good to see you again, and we'll continue this conversation. Thank you, everybody who found the time to join us. I'll share the slides, the notes, perhaps a few links as well, and then we can continue the conversation on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Janice. Thanks, Christina.